All right, welcome everybody. It's 10 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. You guys are here for the Exploring the University of California School System. Today's webinar. Today is June 22nd, 2021. Before we start, just some quick housekeeping and how the day is going to look. You should have received an email either yesterday or today that had the meeting information in it, along with a couple links with some resources that we wanted to share with you guys. We'll go over some of those resources later on, but it was a veteran resource book, a link map, and then instructions on how to use the chat. How the day is going to look, we'll start off with a quick overview of our CalTAP program and some of the benefits that are offered to veterans here in California. We'll also hear from our local interagency network coordinator, and that person will explain how those individuals help veterans here in California and what their duties are. We also have a VRC representative from University of California, Riverside, who will also explain a little bit about the UC system and how it benefits student veterans who want to attend. And then we'll talk a little bit about our education pathway and some of the benefits that veterans have when it comes to education and pursuing their educational goals. Afterwards, we'll go ahead and do our questions and answers. So with all questions, please direct them to the CalTAP questions individual. What we'll do with those is we'll hold them until the very end of the webinar, and then we'll answer them at that time. These are the instructions on how to use that chat. We've been doing Zoom for a while now, so I'm sure most of you guys are pretty familiar with how the platform works. But if you do need help, like I said, this was also attached to that email that you received yesterday or today. And it's also right here. We'll also try to put this information into the chat too, so that you guys could download it on the spot. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Danielle Tran. She is a CalTAP training coordinator like me, and she's going to go over the CalTAP overview and explain some of those benefits that are available to you that don't really fall into the education realm, but are still useful to know. So go ahead, Danny, when you're ready.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the next slide. I want to go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm just going to go over just quickly what CalTAP is. We are a program that's designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras to the earned state and federal benefits, and we do that through our 5 pathways: core curriculum, education, entrepreneurship, employment, and then that 5th pathway for our service providers, just making sure that they are able to get the right information to you as well. Next slide. So you can get access to a lot of the information I'm going to talk about here today in our veterans resource book. I'll also make sure to send that to you in the chat. You should have received the link to find this on our website, but I want to make sure that you have a copy that you can download. But inside this book basically has everything that you'll need in order to get access to your earned state and federal benefits. Next slide. On our website, you can also get access to all this, the same information that I'm going to be talking to you. CalTAP is on that main page. If you go to calvet.ca.gov, it's highlighted there in that yellow circle. Next slide. And then once you're there, you'll be able to get access to those 5 pathways that I mentioned, as well as get a link to our archives page where we have recorded mini webinars such as this one. So if you are coming in late and you missed some part of it in the beginning, or you have to leave a little bit early, the webinar will be posted on our website at a later date. So this is where you can get access to any of the webinars that we've held over the last year and a half. Next slide. So how can you use CalTAP online? Next. So going to that core curriculum pathway, on the next slide, you'll see that it's broken down into several different modules where you can get information. It talks a little bit about protecting your benefits, healthcare, just anything that you might be interested in. We do encourage you guys to kind of go through there and find out what works best for you. But I'm going to focus on module 5, which is your California benefits. And once you go into that, you're going to see exactly what those are. So what are your California benefits? If you're looking in the veteran resource book, it's going to start on chapter 1, and they'll go into great detail on what those are. But then let's go over and see exactly what those are. So the first one that we like to talk about is the college and tuition fee waiver for veterans dependents. So this is a benefit for a veteran's spouse or child or stepchild. And what this does is it allows tuition and fees to be waived at the UC, CSU, and community college level all the way through the doctorate. There's 4 different plans that you can potentially qualify. Again, this is just a brief overview. We do want you guys to navigate to the website if you're looking for more information on that. Next slide. Our DMV programs include having veterans put on your driver's license. You can also have an honoring veterans license plate put on your vehicle, and this is open to anyone who would like to honor a veteran. And then you might be able to qualify for the motor vehicle registration fee waiver. It's usually granted to veterans that have a mobility-related disability. Next slide. Our outdoor activities include having a reduced annual fee for your fishing and hunting license, and then a no-cost use of state parks. Next slide. Our taxing programs include the disabled veteran property tax exemption, which you would apply for through your local county assessor's office, since each county does have different prices. And then it's very similar to your business license and tax and fee exemption. You're going to go through your local county or city applying agency to get those exemptions. And then finally, you have the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Program, which allows a veteran-owned businesses to do business with the state and be able to compete to get contracts. Next slide. Calvet Home Loans offers financing for veterans who are interested in purchasing a loan. So you can use your VA home loan guarantee and also receive a fully financed loan from the California Department of Veteran Affairs. They offer competitive market interest rates, a really great home insurance program, and then low or no down payments. Next slide. Our Calvet Women Veteran Division, they provide information, advocacy, outreach, and support to California's women veterans. And then on the next slide, I'm going to show you what their main page looks like. In case you're curious, they do have an email that we strongly encourage you guys reaching out to them if you want information. You can also sign up on their roster to get access to whatever benefits or whatever webinars they're doing, because they do also hold webinars every month. So it's just another great way to stay informed and connected on benefits that might be specific to you in your situation. Next slide. Similarly, we have the minority division. They also are providing advocacy, outreach, information, and support. They also are helping unnaturalized veterans gain citizenship and naturalization services. On the next slide, you'll see their main page. They also have an email that you can reach out to them. Again, like I said, just another way to make sure you're staying informed and connected and getting that assistance and help for each and every of your unique situations. Next slide. Our Calvet long-term homes, we have 8 of those throughout California. They offer a variety of care with medical, dental, and pharmacy. It could be independent living all the way up to assisted living. So it's just an option for you as you begin to get older. Next slide. We do have 3 state cemeteries throughout California. This is in addition to the national VA cemeteries. We do have quite a few veterans living here in California. And so what we're finding is those cemeteries do get full once veterans are choosing to be interned here. So we want to make sure that you have another option to have your service honored. Next slide. So I'm going to go over a few common veteran websites. Again, many of you should already be familiar with these, hopefully. But if not, we want to make sure and point and highlight them out. So the first one is going to be va.gov. We are always strongly encouraging everyone to go directly to the source. Many of your main benefits related to your disability, your claims and compensation, your records, it's going to be through that federal Department of Veteran Affairs. So we strongly encourage you guys to stay familiar and current with this website, because a lot of things do change. This is something that we are constantly on as well, because we want to make sure that we're giving you the most up-to-date information. On the next slide, we will talk about e-benefits. This is where you can apply for and manage your benefits as well as your health care benefits. Again, a very important website, especially during COVID-19, of where you can get access to lots of things that might have been harder to get access to because of office closures and things like that. Next slide. And finally, we have My Health eVet. This is if you have access to VA healthcare. Again, you may or may not be familiar with this, but this is where you can fill your prescriptions, get appointments. You can also have telehealth appointments with your doctors directly here. Again, another great website that has been really important over the last year with the pandemic. And then on the final slide, I believe it's my information. So if you have any questions about the brief overview I went over here today, if you have trouble navigating the website, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will more than gratefully, helpfully help you guys get access to the information. At this point, we're going to go to the next slide, and I'll turn it over to Marlene. She is our local interagency network coordinator, and she's going to talk to you guys about what she does.
Thank you so much, Danielle. So I'm a local interagency network coordinator for CalVet. So we use the acronym LINK. My jurisdiction covers the Inland Empire, Inyo counties. So that would be San Bernardino, Riverside, Inyo counties. On the next slide, we have a map that shows the different jurisdictions. There are 8 links in the state of California, and it's really, really smart that the state of California did this. Now, as you can see, my area of jurisdiction is the big red area. It is a huge geographical location, and everybody in my area has unique needs. There are mountains, there are deserts. Transportation is very difficult in this area, and the network is very vast. But as you see in the small left lower corner, you're going to see the orange section. That is Orange County. They have just as many veterans in Orange County as they do in my entire jurisdiction. Their needs are going to be a little bit different. Their population may be a little bit older and have different needs. But each of the links are very familiar with the special, unique needs of the veterans in their district. Next slide. And so what we do is we provide outreach directly to the service members, veterans, and their families, make referrals, and work with established service providers and assist with local emergencies. So the fires we had recently in California, for example, you would find a link at the local the local assistance center, the LACs, and we would direct the veterans where to go to get assistance. We also provide leadership and advocacy to local communities. Now, these are very important things. You'll find a link at many of the community meetings. This is how we establish our network. Also, we advocate directly for the veterans and do what we call warm handoff. So each veteran may have a special, unique circumstance, and we can get them directly to somebody that can assist them. Next slide. Some of those agencies that we're talking about here would be like EDD, for example. Our Central California link, for example, is very, very good. And she has contacts directly at EDD in Sacramento, where we can get assistance with unemployment insurance and work directly with the DevOps and get jobs for veterans who are seeking employment, like at the American Job Center. Also, we have contacts in the county, the state, obviously at Calvet, and in the VA medical centers and the vet centers. Next slide. So if you have a veteran that you think would benefit from a warm handoff in any of these different locations or from our networks, go ahead and give me like a text or an email and reach out directly to me, and I can do a warm handoff. Or if you needed a links information in another jurisdiction, I can get you to the right person. So that is my presentation. If you have any further questions, that is my contact information.
All right, cool. Thank you, Merlene. And with that link map that was shown earlier in her presentation, like I said, that was also included in those emails that were sent out. So, and we're also trying to put them into the chat. So for those of you that aren't in Merlene's district, feel free to find the link that is in yours and reach out to them also if you're looking for resources in that area. All right. So while we're all here, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on now to Tammy Thacker. She is a Veteran Service Coordinator at UC Riverside, and she's here to talk to you guys about the UC system and how it benefits student veterans and how it actually helps them reach their education goals. So when you're ready, Tammy, go ahead.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm Tammy Thacker. I'm the Veteran Services Coordinator at UC Riverside. And just so you know, I'm giving you this information about the University of California system, but there is a coordinator at each of our campuses to give you unique information about whatever campus, whether it's UC San Diego or Santa Barbara or Merced, wherever it is that you desire to go to, there's a person just like me at each campus for you to give you whatever information that you need specifically for that campus. But today, go ahead and go to the next slide. I would like to just let you know what my goal is here to talk to you about. I want to help out all of our, what we like to call military connected students. So I want to help everybody in the application process to get to the UC system. So, there are some requirements. They are going to, I'll reveal them. They're not intense. They're not amazing. They're just standard requirements to get into college. And it's great that you're all here to learn about them, because I feel like it's something that a lot of folks don't know. Please, next slide. So let me just give you a little bit about us real quick. You know, our entire purpose is to teach, to do research and to do public service. So we are, all of our campuses are research institutions. So we are out there finding and creating and dispersing knowledge all over, not just our state, but in the world. We opened up in 1869 with just 10 faculty and 38 students. So that wasn't very big, it was tiny. But now we've grown, we've got 10 campuses, 5 medical centers, 3 national laboratories, and you can read all the way down the list there, all these things that we've grown into, 800 degree programs. So if it's something that you want to do in your life, I'm pretty sure we have a campus that will suit your needs as far as what major or job or profession you want to go into later in life. I like the last little bit of information there, where the UC system secures $7 in federal and private dollars for every $1 in research funding provided by the state of California. So it's like a give back situation. I thought that was, you know, something worth sharing. Not to mention the $46 billion contributed to the California economy. So we work together, right, with the state and the UC system works together. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you're not familiar with our 10 campuses, we have 9 that we offer undergraduate degrees and graduate education. We do have 1 campus specifically that is just graduate and professional schools only. So we have 9 for undergraduate. So if you were looking to get, you know, a bachelor's degree in history or something like that, then you would look at one of the 9 campuses. But if you were trying to go to medical school, say, you would look at UC San Francisco as one of your choices. So these are where we're located all across the state. So if there is a campus that's by you that you want to know more about, my contact information will be at the very end. And I can always put you in touch with the person that is doing what I do at UC Riverside at whatever campus you are looking into. I would be happy to do that. What Marlene calls a warm handoff. I would love to do that for you. We all actually talk almost daily, myself and the other 9 campuses. Next slide, please. So I really want to let you know that you have what it takes. It's not a secret how to get to a UC. We're one of the best public universities out there in the world. We have, I don't even know, like thousands, 2,000, 3,000, more than that, veterans on campus. I think I might have put the number in here in a little while, but we have so many vets cruising through our campuses, and we take pride in that, and we try to make sure that every vet is taken care of. So what we do is we have veterans resource centers on all of our campuses with support personnel to help get you from the day you make the decision that you want to get here until the day that you graduate. So next slide, please. So some things that student veterans, you know, we get almost every single student vet from a community college. They transfer in. We will rarely see somebody come in as a freshman. Now, I don't know what the reason behind that is. Maybe we're all just a little bit older and we don't rely on our high school transcripts as much, but we get most of our vets. I can say on my campus, all of our vets, including myself when I did it, came from California Community College and transferred in. Something that you need to know also about our campuses is that veterans are in a unique situation, especially when using veteran benefits. So you'll see I put in here that the UC undergraduate veterans receive substantial grants and scholarships in addition to VA benefits. So what that means is for a regular student at a UC campus, they would get issued through their financial aid package, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. They'll get issued financial aid grants for depending on which campus you're at and your, what your last year's tax information was, right? So these grants are substantial. I can tell you that these grants at my institution is about $15,000 a year if you qualify. So that's $15,000 a year that you can qualify for in cash grant money just for being a student veteran at the UC system. Well, regular students may get offered this grant as well, but they would need it to use for their tuition. A lot of veterans come in having a GI Bill or using some other educational program where their tuition is paid. So this financial aid package becomes very robust for you. So UC, it is absolutely affordable. I just have to say, fill out your FAFSA and then, get with your coordinator at your UC campus to talk about what benefits you're using, how it's going to affect your financial aid, because it's usually a positive consequence rather than a negative consequence. And people feel like if they talk about financial aid, it's going to be a negative money situation, but it's typically positive at the UC. So, there it is. More than 2,000 veterans attend the UC system. I can tell you that on my campus alone, we have about 1,000 military connected students, about 300, just short of 300 of them being veterans. The rest would be spouses and dependents. So just our campus alone has about 1,000. So you can only imagine what a campus like UC San Diego with all of the naval bases and stuff down there, what kind of support they have there. Thousands and thousands of vets attending. Next slide, please. Okay, so at each campus, you're going to find things for you. Priority registration for your classes. Veteran-specific campus orientation programs so that you know what you need to do as a student veteran compared to the regular student. Academic advising, career counseling. I can tell you that we have an employment development program here on our campus just for veterans to get them jobs when they graduate. Academic advising is very, very tricky because a lot of our vets went to school while they were in at several different colleges. So we make sure that we have academic advising for you, getting you all those credits that you deserve from any of your transcripts, even if it was overseas. Financial services, we do deferred payment plans. So if you come in and you say, I'm a student veteran, I'm using these benefits, and then you have to pay your bill by a certain date, we just defer it because we know that you're going to pay, the VA is going to pay. So you wouldn't have to pay up front. There's no upfront costs. The campus, they do these short-term loans. We call them on our campus emergency loans. So if something happens in your life, we have backup funding for you just in case you need it. Just in case life craps out on you, we have that. We've got you. We do VA work study programs at each campus. So if you're using your benefits and you want a job, then you would just talk to me and we would get you a job. Pre and post deployment support. I cannot tell you how many folks get deployed in the middle of an academic year and the things that you have to do to make it all work out. We've got you at every single campus. We have that support. So if you're still in the reserves or you're active duty, I can tell you, we've got several active duty students that are just doing it. And, things happen, you get deployed and we handle it when that happens. Veteran housing services and student centers. So I can tell you that you can apply for campus housing as a veteran and get preferred veteran housing on a lot of our campuses. But there's a difference in each campus in the way that veterans live. So I can tell you that my student veterans don't live on campus. They all choose to live off campus. So housing hasn't been an issue for us. But, we have other things, student centers, our veterans resource centers on each campus. welcoming our student vets with things like textbook libraries, free printing, and things like that. It's a setup. It's a good spot. And then, of course, we have our student veteran organizations on each campus who are tied to the Student Veterans of America. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they are all the campuses have a student veteran organization, which is part of the Student Veterans of America, and they do good work. They make sure that student veterans are taken care of from the ground up. It's pretty awesome to watch them work. Next slide, please. Now, to get into what you want to know, this is a busy slide, but so important. Okay, so admission requirements. In order to get in as a transfer student from a community college, you must complete 60 semester or 90 quarter units of transferable credit with a minimum GPA of 2.4 for California residents. Some majors require a higher GPA than that. You would just have to check in with me or whoever your coordinator is on your campus to find out if your major, like if you were an engineering student, your GPA may need to be a 3.0, or if you're a business student, may need to be like a 2.8 at your campus. It really depends. The thing I want to make very clear out of everything I say to you about the UC system today is this, what's called the AGETSI. So the intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum. It's quite a mouthful, but we call it the AGETSI. So if you're wondering if your classes transfer in, all you need to worry about is this AGETSI. So it is a list of classes that you would need to transfer in as long as you met that unit requirement. So that 60 semester or 90 quarter unit requirement. If you get your AGETSI completed, then you can transfer in at any time. So to see if your classes are going to transfer in, I want to just put a little thing out there that says check with assist.org if you haven't looked at it and you're currently a student and you're looking at a UC. Go to assist.org and use it. It's a helpful tool to find out if your classes will transfer in, if they count towards the AGETSI. It's a really great tool. And I cannot say again, AGETSI. If you're trying to get to the UC, then those are the classes that you need to transfer in. Next slide, please. Okay, here's some dates and deadlines. So for a transfer student, you have two options. You can come in at twice a year. If you're a freshman, you can only come in once a year. So July 1st, our application, I'm sorry, it says 21 here, but well, no, that's okay. July this year, we open, Riverside opens, Santa Cruz opens, and Merced opens their application up for transfer students to come in, and you would start in January. So that's like the fastest admission cycle that the UC system has right there. So if you were looking at going to the UC system right now, right away, if that's on your agenda right now, July 1st, our application opens for those 3 campuses, and you can use one application for 4 campuses when you fill it out. So when you fill out your application, you can use one application for 4 campuses, and you can put them all in there and pick, based off of which campuses you get accepted, you get to choose. So if your object is to be in a UC by January, then you can apply in July for these 3 and then just pick whichever ones you get accepted into, and you'll be on your way. If you decide that those aren't the campuses for you, those aren't ones that you want to look into, and you want to say, I don't know, you want to look at UC Santa Barbara. So August 1st, the application opens for all campuses, and that application stays open until the end of November. So it opens August 1st and closes November 30th. That is for every single campus. So if you are shooting for, say, Berkeley, or you're shooting, maybe you're looking for a professional school or something like that. So it just know that application stays open longer, but you don't start until September of the following year. So it's a year wait. The application takes a year. So the July one is fast and the November one is very slow. It takes a year. So you have to prepare yourself a year in advance to apply for school. So if you're about to graduate in 1 year, you should be applying now. Okay, and then I put a little tip in there, filing period for FAFSA and Cal Grant verification forms open, applications period through March 2nd. So that opens October 1st for FAFSA. Next slide, please. And it closes March 2nd. So, you know, things that you just need to remember is that the UC system has that grant money for you, but you have to fill out your FAFSA to get it. So please fill out your FAFSA, put in the codes for every school that you put on your UC application, put in codes for all of those schools. And then, you know, you'll be able to access some grant money for you as a student veteran. And then we already talked about those other things there. Next slide, please. I just want to put in a couple of things for my school while I got you here. Our application opens in July 1st to start in January. So these are just a couple of snippets that I just took of how we're doing out here in Riverside. So we're #1 right now for social mobility in the nation as far as universities go. And I really wanted to emphasize that. That's truly important, and we're just thriving out here. You wouldn't even know what hit you if you made it out here to UC Riverside and saw what we were about. Next slide, please. Something else we did is that we made #1 for military students for 2020. We're still waiting on the 21 results, but we #1 research institution in the nation for student vets and military affiliated students. So we are pretty proud of that. And if you want to make your way to a good school, I would strongly encourage you to consider UC Riverside. So next slide. I have a little setup here that I just wanted to let you know that if you want to pop in, we open in fall, actually in person, and you can pop into our Veterans Resource Center and check us out. You'll see me there, the coordinator. You'll see our certifying official there doing benefits for our student vets. You'll see vets hanging out with computers and coffee and the works. So this is a little bit about what we've got for you. Feel free to pop in, see what we're about when school starts at the end of September. Next slide, please. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Tammy. Great presentation. The accolades for your school, perfect touch too. So thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this off with a quick overview of education benefits and best practices on how to use those education benefits. My name is Michael Cisneros. I'm also a training coordinator here with CalTAP. Some background about me. I am also a veteran. I separated from the Air Force back in 2007, and I actually went right back to school the next year in 2008. My experience, I started out as a community college student and ended up transferring to UC Davis and received my bachelor's, and then actually went back and received my master's from Sac State. So I'm a student veteran who's used all my benefits, and I'm happy to be here right now talking about this topic. So like the other benefits that we discussed today, the education pathway can also be found on our website at calvet.ca.gov. When you click on that education pathway link, it's going to take you to the modules page. Here on this page, you'll find information on selecting a school. So as a student veteran, what should you be looking for in that campus that you're going to? What kind of resources do you want to see if the campus has? There's also modules on the school systems here in California. So the California Community College system, the CSU system, and also the UC system. And then module 2 will talk specifically about education benefits. So what are those benefits? You guys are probably all familiar with the GI Bill. Most of you are probably taking advantage of the post 9/11 GI Bill. But the GI Bill offers 36 months of education benefits to veterans with a combination or with a total of 48 months, depending on the different benefit and programs you're utilizing at one time. So like I said, the Forever GI Bill is what most veterans are taking advantage of right now, especially if they've separated within the past 5 to 10 years. This is a revamped version of the post 9/11 GI Bill, or at least that's what I like to call it. And so with the Forever GI Bill, it actually ends that 15-year limit on when you would have to use your education benefits. So now whenever you're ready to go back and pursue your education goals, these benefits will be waiting for you if you're eligible for them. For those who are Purple Heart recipients, you're actually eligible for your education benefits regardless of the amount of time you served. In the past, you would have had to serve for at least 2 years. It's either 2 or 3 years before you're eligible for those benefits. That's no longer the case. So no matter how long you've served, if you are a Purple Heart recipient, you are eligible for your benefits. And then for those individuals who've maybe used their benefits in the past on a program from a school that was closed down for accreditation reasons or school closures, there is a department out there now that actually helps veterans get those benefits back so that you can use them on a suitable program. For veterans who served at least 90 days, we've increased the payments now for those individuals. So if you served less than 12 months, you're still eligible for at least 50% of your education benefits. And then for those individuals who are going for a STEM degree, there is a extension provided, for those that are eligible. And so this is because we know that STEM degrees take a little bit longer to pursue, and we want to make sure that you have that you're covered while you go towards that goal. And I'll talk a little bit about that right now on the next slide. So the Science, Technology, Engineering, Math Scholarship, or the Edith Rogers Norris STEM Scholarship, offers up to 9 months of additional post 9/11 GI Bill benefits. And so with this program, the student veteran has to have completed at least 60 units in their program before they could apply for this. They also would have to be eligible for 100% of their education benefits. This cannot be matched with the Yellow Ribbon program, and it's not transferable to dependents either. And so, this is just there because we know that with the STEM scholarships, the student may have to take remedial courses, or they may have to take prereqs to meet those, to get into the next classes. And so this is just there to help cover those units. So speaking of transferring benefits, for those of you, this might not be too relevant right now for some of you, especially if you've already separated, but transferring GI benefits is available to those who maybe are still in, if we do have any of those on the webinar right now. If you are still serving and you are interested in transferring your benefits to your dependents or your spouse, we definitely recommend talking with somebody in your career counselor or somebody talking to a career counselor or somebody in your personnel center. This is because this does require the veteran to extend their time in service. And so you'll just want to make sure that you're making that right decision for yourself before taking this on. All right, so you're just kind of interested in what's available to you, depending on what school you're going to go to or what area you live in. There's a GI Bill comparison tool that you can check out that will give you information on the schools. So vets.gov, you can click on that eligibility link right there, and it will take you to a comparison tool. With the comparison tool, feel free to enter in the information that you're looking for if you want to be more specific, or you could just enter in a city or school or employer name. And by doing that and clicking on search, it's going to bring up a list of colleges within, around the school that you looked at or within the zip code area. For this example, we're looking at UC Riverside. And so what you're doing on this page is you're kind of just getting familiar with what's going to be available to you depending on the school you want to go to. And so the first screen will give you a quick snapshot of what's available. If you look on the right, you can see that a school like UC Riverside pays 100% in-state tuition. They also offer BAH and a book stipend. Quick little snapshot right there, but if you want more detail about how that's broken down per semester, per quarter, you can always click on view details, and view that information. This is just a quick little graph that shows what the cost of attendance is here in California. As you can see, over $20,000. That's including tuition and fees, books, supplies, room and board. So it's pretty expensive, to attain your education goal sometimes. And so with your education benefits, what we want to do is show you how to actually utilize those benefits and maybe help you get through your program. So with your bachelor's degree, so strictly a bachelor's degree, it takes 120 units or credits at minimum to obtain this degree. So it doesn't include the prerequisites and it doesn't include remedial courses. And so if you're enrolled full-time throughout the school year, so that's 12 units for both fall and spring semesters, and 6 units for the summer, your GI Bill is only going to cover about 116 credits total. So how can you extend those benefits so that they can meet you at the end of the program? What we've done was we've come up with a couple tips that you can use. We know that everybody's situation is going to be different, but these tips are there, in case you want to see if you can take on, the responsibility of, either adding more units or certifying, at a lesser time. And so tip 1, take more than 12 units. If you can do this, if this is something you feel comfortable doing, taking 15 units will pay the same amount as a full-time student, and your GI Bill will still cover the full amount. So we know that 12 units is full-time across California. If you're taking 15 units, you are still getting paid out at the normal rate of BAH, and your tuition and fees are still going to cover all your tuition. I'm sorry, your GI Bill will still cover all of tuition. And so you may be overloading yourself, but if you're comfortable with this and you are confident that you can handle that, you can also fulfill your graduation requirements at least 1 semester earlier than the average student. So definitely, if this is something that you're interested in, definitely talk with a counselor, an academic counselor, or somebody within your VRC just to make sure that you are making that right decision. Tip 2, consider certifying at 3/4 time. So what you're doing is you're certifying the amount of units, the amount of time that you're in class at a 3/4 time rather than a full-time student. And so what this does is this could extend the total amount of benefits you have available from 36 months to 45 months. Unfortunately, when you do this, you are going to be receiving BAH at a 3/4 time, but there's resources out there that can actually help you offset that difference. Whether you're going to a community college, you have the California Promise Grant, and if you're not at a community college, you could also participate in something called Federal Work Study, which I'll talk about next. So Federal Work Study is also another way to help you make money throughout the semester and reach those education goals without having to feel strapped for cash, I guess you could say. So with this is a part-time job where you are performing VA-related duties. You are making minimum wage, so it's either the federal or state minimum wage, whichever one is going to be higher. Here in California, it's going to be state minimum wage. It's a flexible work schedule, so your employer understands that you are a student first, and so they will be working around your schedule. And this can help offset the cost of attendance. So, if you are certifying at 3/4 time and you are working Federal Work Study, and you're getting that BAH at 3/4 time, this could supplement that income that you are missing out, or the money that you are missing out on for not certifying at a full-time student. And also when it comes to BAH, if you are depending on that, that's not given out in between semesters. And so if you are looking, for something to do to keep yourself afloat between those times, Federal Work Study can continue paying you out even if you're not in class. Tip 4, withdrawal versus F. This is going to be something that definitely you'd want to speak with an academic counselor first, or somebody within your VRC before making a decision. But when it comes to Fs and Ws, just understand that withdrawals, they don't affect your GPA, but they will prevent you from, transferring or graduating if it's going to be a class that you need. Fs, they do affect your GPA. And so, if you're planning on withdrawing, you may want to talk with the counselor first, just because depending on where you're at in the semester, you may still receive that F. Now, we bring this up because when it comes to Ws, if you do receive a W for a class, you are more than likely going to have to pay back the money that you owe for that class. So if you're certifying yourself at 12 units and you drop a class and you're now at 9 units, but you've already been paid out, you didn't earn that money for those 3 units that you dropped, and so they will be asking for it back. Now, however, if you receive an F, let's say you go all the way through the semester, you take your final, and you still receive that F, it's going to hurt your GPA. But because you earned that F, you're not going to have to worry about paying back money. So that's why we say talk with somebody within your counseling office first, just because whichever route you decide to go, you may have to worry about either paying back money or fixing this situation somewhere later on down the line before you transfer or graduate. All right, and tip 5, always use a Veteran Resource Center. If they're there, definitely take advantage of them. Like Tammy said, the UCs have a resource center on all campuses. Most of I think all the California community colleges have them on their campuses. I think most of the CSUs have them. So if they're there, go ahead and take advantage of them. This is just a place where you can go to continue building that camaraderie that you missed, you're probably missing from serving. You could always come here to study, to use their resources like printing and checking out books for the semester. Sometimes these centers have veteran counselors available that you could speak with. Sometimes you can actually get processes done, like enrollment processes. So it just depends on which center you're going to, which school you're going to. But if they're there, please use them, take advantage of them, and show up. All right. So financial assistance. So Tammy talked a little bit about some of these earlier. I'm going to talk about FAFSA. So FAFSA is the federal application for free student aid, or free application for federal student aid, actually. This is the application that you'll fill out for the grant, for your Pell Grant, for your Cal Grant, and also if you are trying to take out student loans, you'll also want to submit a FAFSA. California Promise Grant is there for students who do want to attend a California community college. This is a grant that actually covers all tuition and fees, and so practically be free to go to a California community college. Scholarships are there. If you Google scholarships, you can find veteran-specific scholarships. And one thing about scholarships is not a lot of people apply for them because it does require you to, sometimes write an essay or some kind of statement, and it's just work that sometimes students don't want to take on. So there's a lot of money out there that's not being touched. And I would definitely recommend searching for veteran-specific ones and letting that help you pay for to cover your education goals. And then there's a Yellow Ribbon program for those individuals who want to attend a private school. The Yellow Ribbon program is an agreement with the VA and the school that you want to attend, the private school that you want to attend. And it just helps you cover the remaining balance of your tuition and fees so that you can attend those for free. One thing I do want to touch on is if you are, especially if you're going for your undergrad, take advantage of these benefits. I would say even if you can, take advantage of them first. In my situation, I went to a California community college and used the Promise Grant at that time. At that time, it was actually called the Bog Waiver, but I used that and covered my first 2 years of college practically for free. And then I went to Davis for my junior and senior year and started using my education benefits then. And also using FAFSA, because FAFSA, so California Promise Grant is only there for students who are at a junior college, and then FAFSA is there for all undergrad. And so because these are, you can only use these at specific times, I definitely recommend taking advantage of them first, because your education benefits through the VA are always going to be there. And so when I got to Davis, I actually started taking advantage of my education benefits then, graduated with my bachelor's because I had money left over from the GI Bill. You know, that was pretty much my, what made me want to go for my master's. I already got my bachelor's. I knew that I could take on the schoolwork. If I got one degree, I could probably get another one. But the fact that I had the money in my back pocket let me know, okay, this is going to be my next step. So, you know, just definitely look at what's available to you. Look at when you can use it and when you're not going to be able to use it, and take advantage of it all. You could get your education for free, you know, if you play it right. All right, and then there's the VRNE program, the Veterans Readiness and Employment Program. This used to be VOC Rehab. They went through a rebranding last year. So this is open also for veterans who have a disability rating of 10% or higher. With this program, it is an employment program. I'm sorry, my computer's dying, so I'm just gonna plug this in real quick. But with this program, it is an employment program. We only bring it up because you know, if you are speaking with the VRNE counselor, that individual may decide that you need more education to you know, get a degree that will actually match your disability rating, and suitable work that will match your disability rating. And so it offers up to 48 months of education benefits for that individual. Well, 48 months total for the individual who has met with the VRNE counselor and has found that they do need more education to get a suitable job that meets their disability rating. And the college tuition and fee waiver for veteran dependents. Danny talked about this earlier in the overview. I'll just kind of break it down a little bit more. This is a benefit that's offered through CalVet, but it is only for the dependents of disabled veterans and the child dependents of disabled veterans. So with this benefit, there are 4 different plans. There's Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, and Plan D. Most veterans do fall into Plan B. This is because that requires a disability rating of 0 to 100. Besides that, they're also looking at the child dependent's income level just to make sure that it's not over the federal poverty line. And so with those 2 stipulations, we see more veterans taking advantage of this plan, and it does cover the tuition and fees at all state-funded schools, so any CSUs, UCs, and California community colleges. If you do have a spouse that wants to take advantage of this benefit, there is a way. You would just have to see if you're eligible for Plan A, Plan C, or Plan D. If you are eligible for any one of those plans, then you may be able to split the benefit between your dependents and your spouse, or give it to either one. But definitely speak with a veteran service representative at your closest county veteran service office, and they could go over education, or they could go over requirements and processes with you in more detail if you are interested in this benefit. All right, so coming down to the end of it, I just want to talk to you real quick about the ScholarShare 529. This is a college savings plan for families to help pay for college. I'm sorry, can't read that real quick. So it's overseen by the ScholarShare Investment Board and chaired by the California State Treasurer. 10 reasons why to save with ScholarShare 529. It's easy and convenient. Savings will grow more due to tax advantages. It's used towards any school and can be used for more than just tuition, and lowers the impact on financial aid than other savings plans. It's also affordable. Anyone can contribute. Unused funds can be used for other eligible members of your family. Investment is flexible, and estate tax planning, it offers estate tax planning benefits as well. So if that is something that you're interested in just knowing more about, this is contact information for Aaron Lester. Feel free to reach out to him, and he'll be more than happy to answer your questions about this program and how it helps student veterans here in California. All right, so chapter education benefits can be found on chapter 4, page 120 in your veteran resource book. As we mentioned before, that is also in the chat, the link to that book, a PDF copy of that book, and we also sent that link through your email. So definitely check out what's available to you. There's more in there that we didn't touch on today. So definitely take a look at what's available. That's my contact information. If you have any questions about what I went over today, or you just want to chat about my experiences, feel free to email me, and we could definitely talk about it. And if you need help getting in touch with resources, I could see what's out there for you and direct you in the right place. All right. So with that being said, we're going to move on now to our questions and answers portion. This is our contact information, and so with that, I'll go ahead and open the mic up to Danny. And Danny, if there are any questions, feel free to read them out, and then we'll go ahead and start answering them. And then for those of you who do have questions still, feel free to start putting them in the chat. We will definitely take the time to answer all questions if needed.
Okay, we did get a few. There was a couple about UC San Diego, and so Tammy, if you have any tips and tricks on applying to UC San Diego, or if you have a direct contact to someone at the VRC and UC San Diego, if you could provide that, that would be a great help.
Great, I will. I'll put an email address in the chat.
And for UCI as well, that just came in.
Okay, I'll put both of them in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. All right, let me go to the next question while she does that. So there was a question about using VA benefits to enroll in a, I believe it was an online certification program or just a certification program. I did put a few links in the chat. I think it might have gone directly to the person who asked that question. So I'm going to put those in there again because there were a few. There's some information on the va.gov website about exactly what your GI Bill will cover. Michael, I don't know if you want to, expound on that, since you did use your GI Bill, about what kinds of programs you can use.
Yeah, I mean, and please, Tammy or Marlene, if I'm not saying this right, feel free to jump in. But I'm almost positive you could use them on apprenticeship programs and certification programs, as well as degree programs. Your education benefits should be able to cover all of that.
I'm sorry, Michael. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, they're just and Danny, and tell me if I'm wrong with this question, but I believe they're asking, what can your education benefits through the VA cover when it comes to the different programs? I know for sure degree programs and certification programs, and I'm almost positive it's also apprenticeship programs. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're asking about certification programs and online programs.
Yeah, and the online programs, I believe when it comes to online programs, they do certify them differently than if the student was sitting in the chair and in person, but they would still be certified depending on the program.
So what it said on the VA website about distance learning, I don't know if online programs would qualify under that distance learning program, but it did say that you could apply to distance learning programs, which you would receive your BAH at 50% of the cost. So
yeah,
I'm not sure if that's what the person was getting at, but definitely always go to the VA website. I did put those links back in the chat there that will take you to the VA website.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I know that when it came to, over the past year, that's one of the things that they were trying to figure out was how do we, certify these classes when everybody is going into distance learning now. But now that they'll be going back on campus, if you are doing an online program, you just want to expect that your BAH it's going to be certified a little bit differently than if you were sitting in person in the class.
And Tammy, this might be another good question for you. It's about the benefits, if there are any benefits for veteran dependents, and when it comes to priority registration and utilizing the Veteran Resource Center. Is that an option for veteran dependents?
So I can tell you that each UC campus has different policies as far as priority registration for dependents. Our campus, only the veteran, the DD 214 holder gets the priority registration. So other campuses have different rules. So you would have to check with as far as, the coordinator for that campus, as far as the priority enrollment goes. But the benefits for a dependent on our campus is the same as if you were a veteran, other than priority enrollment. So you have full access to everything. So if we're buying textbooks for the whole group. We're not buying textbooks just for the vet. Do you know what I mean? We're gonna offer it to everybody. So we try to just make it as inclusive as possible so that folks come in and hang out and use the benefits, because otherwise the benefits go away, So dependents are more than welcome. And I believe that goes for every single campus, all 10 campuses. Every resource center is open to dependents.
That's awesome. I wish I would have known that, Tammy, because as you know, I'm a UC Riverside alumni, and my father is a veteran, and I had no idea that I could have used the Veterans Resource Center. That would have been really handy.
I know. Get the word out. We need to get the word out.
Yeah, so that's good to know if you guys have, you have dependents that are planning to go. Next question. Do you have any tips on if they're using, I don't know if this would be a good question for us, but we have someone who's using the fee waiver, the CalVet fee waiver, and they're interested in applying for grad school. Is there anything differently that they need to do, or is it going to be the same application process and applying for that fee waiver once they're going into that graduate school program?
Yeah, it's going to be the same. When it comes to the fee waiver, the only thing that they're looking at is the income level and whether or not the veteran has that disability rating. The thing is, if you are going for a grad program right now, and let's say you are also working in the field that you're trying to study in, and you're making decent money at that time, because you already have a bachelor's, you might not be eligible for the fee waiver. So that's the only thing that you would have to remember is as your education level rises, your income level also rises. And so if that's the situation, you may want to just understand that the eligibility requirements might get in the way. But if that's not your situation and you're ready to go for a grad program and you're under the income level and your parent has that disability rating, then nothing will be different. Nothing will be different because you are going for a higher degree, if that makes sense.
And there's another question in terms, and I feel like we kind of addressed part of it, but utilizing the GI Bill, will they still be able to get BAH if they're going to a postmaster's program? And then they're asking what it would look like if they're living in Southern California, and I think or if they're not living in the city where they're applying for the school, and I think that's where that 50% thing kind of comes into play. If you're not actually living in that city, they might limit your BAH. But again, Michael, I don't know if you want to expand on that, or Tammy. These are excellent questions to ask directly to VA, because they're going to have more detail than we can provide.
Yeah, I know that if you're not living in the city that you try to go to school, but you're able to make it on campus. Let's say you're only in class twice out of the week, and you don't live, you live an hour away. You can attend and still get paid out for that school, as long as you're sitting in class. If you are doing the distance learning the distance learning method where it's all online, that is where you do have to understand that your BAH is going to be limited. But yeah, we've had people here in Sacramento take classes in San Francisco because you get a higher BAH in San Francisco, but the only thing that they would have to do is just sit in traffic for a couple hours to get to class, once or twice a week, but they still got paid out at a San Francisco level because their classes were certified there. And so that's But yeah, you definitely would be able to take advantage of that. But if you are doing the distance learning means that you're online. Then yeah, you're going to see some changes in the amount of money you're getting every month.
The next question we had was around the disability rating for the VRNE program. The person said that she found that it was 20%, but our slide said 10%. And I would say if you got that information directly from VA that it was 20%, I would go with what VA said. We might just need to update our slides and get the most recent and up-to-date information. Voc Rehab is now called the Veterans Readiness and Employment Program. So they might have made some changes to the disability rating when they made the change to the name. So again, if you got the information from the source, from the VA, that's the information that you need to go for.
Yeah, and I know that at one point it was a 10% disability rating, and I think that was for like tinnitus. I'm not sure if they've changed that since, and I know I've also heard 20% as well. So we'll definitely go back and just double check that we are putting the accurate information in there. But yeah, at one point it was 10%. 20% seems like it's what the VRNE people tell their veterans or service members. So we'll definitely go back and make sure that we are putting the correct information on that slide for the next time. Thanks for bringing that up, though.
Yeah. So this question is about our CalVet fee waiver program, as if it will cover studying abroad. And I honestly do not know the answer to that question. Merlene, I don't know if you can answer that. Oh, Tammy's hopping on. Can they use the CalVet fee waiver to study abroad?
If you are attending a UC and you are awarded the CalVet tuition fee waiver, we have a program set up so that you are entitled to use it to study abroad. You don't have the full catalog eligibility, but you do have several good options to travel abroad.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks
Okay,
for that, Tammy, because I didn't know the answer to that, but now I know.
Yeah. Okay, there was one, I think it's again, in addition to our question about living in the area, but not sure if the VA will cover off-campus expenses. I think as long as you're going to school and you're certified at the school, they're not going to change your BAH. But if you're living in the area of your school and you're living off campus, the BAH isn't based on whether or not you're living on campus or off campus. The BAH is just I don't know how they come up with that number, right?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Tammy.
Oh, I was just going to say that it's based off of the school's zip code. So whatever the school's actual like physical address zip code is, the BAH is that for every student using benefits at that location, no matter where the student lives. The student can live anywhere as long as they're not taking online, like Michael had said earlier. But if they're attending class, it's the school's zip code that dictates the amount of BAH.
All right, our next few questions are about our CalVet tuition and fee waiver. Is there an age limit? Under Plan B, there is not. There's just an income limit. Under Plan A, it's 27. And there is no limit to how many of your dependents can use it. So if, God bless your heart, you have 10 children, whether they be your birth children, your children by birth, or your stepchildren, they would be covered under that tuition and fee waiver. So there is no limit to the number of dependents that can use it. So, but I would say research which plan you're using, because the spouse can potentially qualify under Plan A. And I believe that's the only spouse program. But your child dependent could potentially qualify under Plan A or Plan B.
You know, one thing I want to say about the tuition and fee waiver as well is the veteran does not have to be a California resident. And so with the veteran, if you decide you want to separate in Texas or you want to separate, somewhere else in the country, you could do that. The benefit is still going to be there for your dependent. The thing is that the dependent is the one who has to make sure that their residency is good. And so what that means is, in order for the student to be considered a California resident, they would have had to been living in the state for a year and 1 day prior to the start of the semester that they want to attend. And so if your parent lives somewhere else, but you've been living in California longer than 1 year, then you could still use this benefit, as long as you want to, as long as your income level stays under that limit. But if you are new to California and it's been less than a year, you may have to, either speak with your school to see if there's any programs around that, or wait for that year and 1 day. So just something to help you plan if that's going to be you in the future.
So that was the last question. I'm going to put the link for the survey in the chat again while you talk about the next slide.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, and just a little bit about that survey. We're sending out a survey. There was actually an email sent out at the beginning of this event, asking for your input on what we did well today, what we could work on. These webinars are, relatively new. We started them last year once we went into lockdown. So we're always looking for ways to improve on our services and, get relevant information out to you all. So with that being said, I just want to talk about this last slide. We do have one upcoming webinar this month on the 29th. We're going to be talking about construction careers and apprenticeships, most likely going into detail about some of the financial aid available to youth to complete these programs. So if you're interested in apprenticeships or certification programs, feel free to jump on and see what we have to talk about. We have some events coming up in July as well. We're focusing more on employment and fire season preparation, just because, living in California, we always got to think about that. So please, if you are around and you want to check this out, head over to our Eventbrite page and register for these upcoming webinars.
Michael, I do have one more question. I was looking over to make sure I addressed everything. And I did see that I skipped one. My apologies. I'm not sure if you guys can answer it, but if it's a veteran who is a reservist but was never deployed to serve active duty. And so the only active duty they have was basic training in MOS school. And they're wondering if they would still qualify for the new GI Bill increase. I don't know if that's something that you can answer. To me, as a non-veteran, as just a dependent, that's a very VA question. But if Tammy or Michael could expand on that, or Marlene.
Yeah, I'm not totally familiar with the reservists. I'm gonna say if you didn't reach 90 days of active duty, then you're not eligible for the GI Bill. But please, Tammy, if you have more insight into that, or Marlene, feel free to jump in. But I believe as long as if you were able to reach the 90 days of active duty, then you're eligible for the GI Bill. If you haven't reached that 90 days, then those benefits wouldn't be available to you.
And I did leave them the GI Bill hotline because I understand that they can pull up your information and see exactly what you would potentially qualify if you have GI Bill benefits.
Yeah, I think that's I would definitely recommend speaking with the GI Bill hotline just to double check. But active duty, active service, 90 days is the minimum for the post 9/11, or I'm sorry, the forever GI Bill.
Okay, that was the last question. All
right. Well, we made it to the end, and I want to thank you guys all for hanging out and being with us to the very end. This is also CalVet's contact information, CalTAP's email address. Any questions that you have for us, if there's something that comes up later on and you want to get our opinion or our insight on it, feel free to email us, and we'll definitely make sure you get the right information. I want to thank Tammy for being here today. Thank Marlene for helping us out with this, and thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for your service, and until the next time, we'll see you guys around. Everybody have a good day.